great to be back on stage after such a while, and yeah, great to have you here today. We try our best to entertain you and bring some answers for these open questions. But yeah, who are those guys you spend the next 25 minutes with? Lukas, tell me a little bit about.
Thank you, Jan. Hi, everyone. My name is Lukas Stranger. Based in Austria, I'm running NXRT as a simulation company focused on mixed reality driving simulations. And yeah, again, based in Austria, happy to be here today. And who are you, by the way?
I'm Jan. Sometimes I'm asking myself what I'm doing with advisXR, but I think I'm here to support in general XR community and startups and do my best to move technology forward. Cool. So, Lukas, what is this session about?
Good question, though.
Let's have a look.
We should have thought about this earlier, probably. But yeah, let's figure it out. Is it about metaverse?
Is it about metaverse?
I don't know.
I don't think so. What do you think? How many times does the term metaverse occurs in the agenda of the AWE 2022 in Europe, Lisbon? Any guess? Exactly, too many. The time I prepared this slide, it was 12. I checked today, it's way more. So we are not talking about the metaverse today. We are talking about, Lukas?
What are you talking about?
What should we do?
Well, I think let's do a brief review of what happened so far. Then let's talk about some use cases and maybe some potential what's going on in the next couple of years. Is that fine?
Let's try it.
All right.
Okay. Cool. And by the way, do you know what day today is?
Well, I know, but do you know what day today is?
Yes, of course. It's Throwback Thursday.
Yay!
So let's jump into the past. One of the main essential ingredients for XR technology in general, I think, this is talking about the visuals. The visuals transporting the story, the information, everything we want to have in our user's hand. And talking about real-time visualization, there was a beginning. It was really real time to visualize. And we have a limited toolbox, and it was really precise hardware behind. The real-time artist was looking that way. A few years later, we have a change. The hardware changed, the display changed. We can now even start influencing what is displayed. So the first video game was developed. It's still a traditional, classical game. For me, it was the entry point. My first programming experience in VR was developing Pong for Powerwalls and playing it over the network. A little bit later, a little bit more features are added to this technology. So we see we are back to the colors. We can move around, and more things are movable. The appearance of a real-time artist changed as well. The toolbox changed as well. Nowadays, we talk about real-time visualization that way. A lot of bright minds make their thoughts about how to make use of the computational power, how the algorithms should be. And you may even met them here at AWE or at SIGGRAPH, wherever. And these are the enablers for us to tell stories in real time. Also, the typical toolbox and the real-time artist changed a little bit. But still, for me, things are missing. We are telling the story in a kind of a linear way, not much interaction, more consuming. And now we got a toolbox at hand, which adds also the simulation part, so the physics. Everything is at hand, and let's have a look what these toolbox can provide us. Interactive, real-time scenes and simulate what's happened out there. But who can tell us more about simulation and real-time applications than Lukas? So it's up to you.
Thank you, Jan. Well, I think very important to look at those kind of developments, because those developments made actually companies like us, empower companies like us to do what we do today. As we want to talk a bit about use cases and applications and where the market trend goes, I thought about talking a bit about what we do at NXRT and where we come from and what kind of use cases we see, and going from there basically to the market, to the bigger market. I hope that's fine for everybody, so don't do too much on advertisement. So what we have done with NXRT is we kind of created the world's first mixed reality test drive solution. You're going to see it in a second. But mixed reality, as you see it, we were really kind of one of the first companies back in 2014, 15 who kind of had this idea with why not combining the real world with the virtual one. And yeah, this is basically one of a crucial technology we developed, which then kind of leads to some success we had so far. The second technology we developed was we use real cars as simulators. I think pretty smart, because the infrastructure is already there, at least for our customers, which are most of the time automotive brands. And we basically go from heavy, bulky simulation systems to a very sleek and slim simulator concept. And beyond that, we also kind of created a whole simulation ecosystem. So beyond mixed reality, beyond sensor system, we also wrote some algorithms and created a driving platforms to easily set up different kind of driving simulations. So what we do today, in a nutshell, is we already scale two simulation products. And one is a product which empowers the driver or the user to get educated on driver assistance systems within dealerships. So you see it over here. This is already launched with Porsche last year. They use our technology to educate, once again, the drivers on the different kind of vehicle functions. You put a car on the platform with the power of mixed reality with a VR and headset. You get displayed a virtual world inside the windshield, and then you can easily kind of experience the car's features. And we brought us a little video. Hope this works.
Experience the full potential of any car. Feel the fine interior. Experience reality.
If the danger of a collision is detected, the brake assistant takes additional measures to protect the passengers.
Without ever leaving the car dealership. If you want to sell future cars, you need to use future technology. XQ Avatar, the world's first mixed reality test drive solution.
Great. So talk about use cases, right? And that's why we're here today, I guess, Jan. Maybe just to mention a few. We took kind of the simulation ecosystem we created and brought it to our customers. And now we see how they basically solve different kind of challenges, like the development of new HMI concepts, driving a loop testing, so I don't get too deep into the material, but really big problems with where you need to spend lots of money on it by heavy, bulky simulation concepts, and we kind of reduce the cost by doing what we do today. But we don't kind of stop by just to do automotive. We also work in the railway and construction industry already, where we kind of applied the same concept of using mixed reality and integrating real-world objects into virtual simulations and experiences for other use cases, like train driver simulator. We're going to launch, by the way, in June 2023, the world's first mixed reality train driver operator simulator with the biggest Switzerland training company. Which is, I think, pretty nice, and also shows that, yes, there's a market, and yes, it's there, right? And it will stay there. Yeah, so in a nutshell, what we strongly believe is that the future of XR lies in this simple and smart way of combining the real world with the virtual world. And how we do this, I think, explained shortly. We'll maybe talk about this in a second. And yeah, that's basically what we do. And maybe, Jan, we should talk about what's next.
Yeah, I think let's grab a chair and do the chat.
Why not? Is that fine? It's very...
Wow, it's Really, that's the reason giving a talk here at AWE, that the chairs are much more comfortable than in the audience. I'm sorry to say that. Lukas, I completely agree. And I also believe that the future lies in the mixture of real world or enhancing the real world with virtual simulations. We are all real persons. We are living in the real world. So for me, there are much more use cases giving a direct benefit to us if we are able to do it. Right now, we see more and more VR or capsuled experiences. Do you think it's because of the complexity of the technology? You need to add localization, recognition, all that stuff, or why do you think it's more about VR currently?
Well, I think the core thing as kind of a VR company, and when you start in this kind of XR bubble, let's call it, it's crucial to understand that it's not only software and it's not only hardware. So and I think this is what we have kind of showcased with NXRT and also done pretty nicely to some extent to understand that we were coming from a software side, developed 2014 a driving simulation simulation software for driving schools, and then figure out that, man, software alone is not enough, right? You need to understand what the customer needs by the end of the day as a kind of a final product, final solution, and work towards it, even though it means you also need to develop your own hardware. This is basically what we did. So I think it's crucial, and you see it very often that people are really focusing on either hardware or software. And I think for now, for the moment, I think that will be changed probably in the next kind of 3 to 5 years. But for the moment, you need to understand the whole solution.
Yeah, so it's more about thinking in solutions and solving the problem. And even if you are as a startup or as a tech or hardware company, you are only part of a complete solution. So that means you need to ask for partnerships as well, collaborations. What did you do?
Would be a good day. Yeah, I mean, we already talked a lot with hardware companies, and for all people here who are dealing with issues like that, go to the other side as your, I don't know, if you're a hardware company, go to the software developers, vice versa, because they are super open, right? We talk to big companies like, I don't know, HTC, Meta, Vaio, whatever you call it, and they're super excited if you come as a software company and want to understand and learn how their hardware developments move on and how you can kind of, what they can change to make your life as a software company much more easy or much simpler.
Yeah, as well, there is no hardware existing without any solution outside. So I think this is a hen and egg issue, and you need to overcome that, and you need to be on the same level. I'm quite confident looking in the future. What I showed you as a last slide with the available technology, I think we did a big step forward to being able making our thoughts about experiences and real life simulation stuff, making use of the potential of the hardware. So that's my takeaway from the current situation out there. And keep in mind that there are the dependencies between hardware and software. Lukas, one thing, probably I was a little bit too positive at the beginning, but what would be an AWE without presenting this slide?
Thank you.
What do you think about, I marked it in red, we find on our Gartner hype cycle a term called metaverse. Is it good or is it bad?
All right, so very short, I'm super confused about this metaverse thing overall. Super confused why it's on the hype cycle, because it's kind of a mixture of different kind of technologies, right? And VR, AR, I think it's not there anymore, don't see it. But metaverse is, anyway. Actually, what we are experiencing right now is we had, as a XR company speaking, right? We had a nice kind of little boost through the whole metaverse bullshit thing. But what I'm seeing now is that companies freeze their budgets because they think the metaverse doesn't kind of take off anytime soon. So we are in trouble now because they kind of compare us with some metaverse thing, and so in overall, I think for a B2B company, it does more harm than good. Unfortunately, in B2C segment, it might be a slightly different story, but this is just my point of view from a B2B perspective.
Yeah, I share your confusion because you already see some components we usually connect with the term metaverse outside of this cycle or another phase. So it's quite difficult. But that aside, let's switch. We should also talk about market opportunities and what to expect in the growth of XR. We are all waiting for this. I talked 3 years ago about a hockey stick expectation will never happen. It's a ramp-up phase. You are mostly developing solutions for enterprises, but I see the biggest potential, especially if I look in my home area in Germany, it's about the small and medium enterprise sector and area. What do you think? It's what are the differences between both areas?
I think in a nutshell, what most of the people don't know probably is that I think 95% of all German companies are SMEs and not enterprises, right? And so everybody goes for the big whale. Again, speaking as a XR company CEO guy, but you forget about their 95% of also maybe the money, your whole market potential lies in the SMEs. And I think that there needs to be a kind of a shift in the paradigm, so to think more about also those kind of companies, speaking about B2B, obviously. But yeah, maybe you can show the next slide because this is
so I think
crazy.
that's just to mention it. It's a current study done on a local high-tech area, and it shows that the driver why they want to use XR technology is having a better image, customer loyalty, stuff like that.
Yeah. And that's a problem, right? That's honestly the big issue we're facing right now is that there's still a kind of a nice to have. It's still a gimmick, and it should be upside down actually. And this is, I think, where the truth lies a bit. We need to understand that we need to solve a real problem, rather than have cool technology. Don't get me wrong, I love technology, and finding somehow a problem we solve. And that's the biggest problem, right? And that's kind of the challenge we have right now. And that's, yeah.
To add some positive aspects, when I remember back when VR technology started in an enterprise environment, it was quite the same. It was, you need to convince, you need to show the potential of the technology. Have a look nowadays, you do not have to talk about the benefits of doing maintenance, training, and all this stuff. So it's established. There are solution providers out there. There are platforms out there. So it's a growing market. It's for the enterprise sector. So we still have some hope that we can also change this slide in the future, make it vice versa. But as you mentioned, we need to address it, and what could be a strategy to address it? So even if you're in an enterprise sector or as a startup, I just try to sort it a little bit out. It's easier to talk with an enterprise company and earning the bigger money, you have one contact, more money, more budget, instead of talking to 1,000 small companies. But what does it mean in terms of your strategy and your deployment and development?
Yeah. I mean, it's complex because those SMEs are probably most of the time don't have any kind of innovation labs, innovation budgets, right? Because that's why everybody goes for the big blue whale, which is also to some extent the right thing, I would say, because they kind of finance developments, I guess, like military and porn, and maybe then scale it down to the SMEs, right? So once the technology is available for the kind of the other market, which is not, or which is probably more price sensitive, then go for that. But just don't forget about it, right? That's the thing.
Yeah, you need to be clever enough and also have this kind of software architecture or scalable solutions in mind. You can divide your core technology, make you agnostic as far as possible. Enterprise will always require, I guess, a specific development, and you have to address a specific niche for enterprises. But keep in mind the future market on the growth, in my opinion, is also already out there and just needs to be prepared.
Yeah.
So I see the time is marked in red.
Any questions? I mean,
yes.
we wanted to have this as interactive as possible, but we don't have that much mics, I guess.
Is there any question to us you were interested we can answer
or
from
input?
our?
Whatever you want to say. Say it now or die.
Yeah, we can also then pick up for the last 2 minutes probably another topic, and let's talk about products and product definitions. We talked at a coffee break this afternoon about it. It's a traditional product is in most cases about hardware, right? So it's hardware, especially Germany, over-engineered hardware delivered to the customers, and all things around are a kind of decoration. So we now have this shift from the hardware product to an experience, and an experience itself is the product. I'm not speaking in general, there are other solutions out, but so I think that's the mindset shift we need to undergo. What is your core message regarding this shift? What is essential to be successful with virtual products?
Well, I think, and you mentioned it, so I just replicate it to be fair here. But technology will be established soon. That's so still very positive, right? We just try to challenge the topic a bit. And then it's more about user experience, right? Because you don't kind of ask, is this device running or is it heating up and I don't know, exploiting, what's the right term here? Burning in my head. But it's more about how do I kind of interact with apps? How do I interact with experiences, simulations, whatever? So UX gets more and more important. This is also why we kind of grew our UX team right now. Yeah, sorry to.
No, that's exactly the point. You need to care about it, and I think that's a critical thing. If you are coming from a tech or engineering point, you need to take into account. You need to have these skills integrated in your product.
Like human-centered development, to some extent.
Any last question? I see the seconds are ticking.
I just have one. What is XR?
Okay, thank you for asking. Yeah, I stated it years ago.
I think you need to press 1.
Oh. And I'm struggling with this device here, so we probably also need to improve the... One back. No, one, no. Okay, then in a few words, it's about deliver information in context at the right time, at the right place. That's basically it.
Sounds pretty simple. So let's do it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us here today.